So you said this about Me Too. So this is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania. In Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies. You go to the police and say he raped me back in 1988. They'll say, well, you should have done something about it back then.
That one small sentence you've taken was from a 1-hour video where I explained that, of course, rape is disgusting. Of course, everybody should be punished for their crimes regardless of when they happen. But people are not perfect, male and female. And if you give women the opportunity to destroy men's lives without evidence, there's going to be a contingent of women who will do that. I'm trying to make a balanced and nuanced argument in a world where people have no attention span. They're going to take a few seconds, put it online, decide someone's good or bad, not be interested in the longer format video. We live in a world now with TikTok videos 5 or 6 seconds long. There's no content.
Men in custody battles are falsely accused of crimes all the time, especially having to do with violence, to prove that they are a bad parent by a hysterical mother. Instead of complaining about this, instead of bitching about it, instead of talking about how the world is completely unfair, I want you to learn how to fight it. Anytime you have a claim against you that could affect you legally, you need to learn how to argue that legally. If you don't learn how to argue that legally, you are setting yourself up for failure in the courts. That means you need to learn how to disprove this. How do you organize evidence? You need to not worry so much about proving that the mom is a liar and an evil person, but you need to prove that first, you did not do this crime. This is not going to be through character witnesses. This is going to be through direct evidence of timelines, pictures, photographs, video, audio recordings. Now, I just want to tell you, if you don't do this, what usually happens is you go to court unprepared. You have the wrong kind of witnesses, wrong kind of evidence, wrong kind of testimony. A judge is going to rule on the side of caution. You're going to get things like protective orders or restraining orders put against you. This inhibits your relationship with your child. It starts dividing you from them. It starts allowing a lie that whoever's making these claims, usually the mother, to continue them to the child. The child starts believing them, and then things like parental alienation happen, which is a horrible psychological disorder. You need to learn to stop this immediately. I want you to learn how. If you need help with this, I strongly encourage you to join my groups, a complete support system that is going to help you out mentally, emotionally, and legally on this, to defend you, to get you your freedom so that you can be a dad. My groups will pay for themselves within the first month, and in addition to that, they're going to save you just tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. The links for The Rising Man, which is my group and community, are in my bio. Stay strong, guys. Stay alive so you can stay fathers.
Men get their lives ruined every single day by false allegations of sexual misconduct. People get mad when you say that. Well, some of them are true. Some of them may be true, but they don't have to be true. And that's the culture that we live in. We live in a culture where men can be accused of things. It could come out 3 years from now that he actually didn't do this, but by then his shit is all ruined. And they know that. This happens to actual, just regular men on a daily basis. A relationship went bad. Some sort of, bitter feelings. Oh, all of a sudden there's these accusations. And then all of a sudden the man is fired from his job. He's dropped from his contracts, ostracized by his peers and by society as some sort of sexual predator, when in reality, dude, they just broke up and it didn't go the way someone wanted. Like, we live in a double standard society where men are literally at the mercy of accusations. And this is why it's my opinion that if a man is accused of rape and he is found to be not guilty of rape, the accuser should have to serve the sentence of the actual rape.
What part is the most screwed up? Occasionally demonstrating guiltlessness is not sufficient. It's known as the silver lining. Even though most men have been free of it for years, it still has a negative impact on their lives. It is repulsive to make fraudulent allegations against men.
Now to that false rape charge, 1 year in prison. That sentence tonight for the woman who falsely accused 2 football players from Sacred Heart University in Connecticut of rape. The students say what she did has changed their lives forever, even though they have been cleared of all wrongdoing. Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis with our lead story tonight. He's live in Bridgeport. Marcus.
That's right, Bill. Those 2 students were never arrested, never charged with any crime, but the accusation was serious enough, so much so they say they had to leave school, their reputation in tatters. She pursed her lips. She rolled her eyes, but Nikki Yavito's body language couldn't change the outcome. A year in jail for telling a lie that cost 2 young men their college careers.
My life has been altered and shaped in ways that nobody here could imagine.
Malik St. Hilaire was never arrested, but Yavino claimed he and another student raped her while all 3 attended Sacred Heart University in 2016. Instead, it was the Long Island native who was charged when the police investigation revealed sexual activity had occurred but was consensual. Prosecutors say Yavino made up the rape claim because she didn't want to upset another student she was interested in.
Her willingness to accept this plea deal reflects her accountability for what happened.
But it wasn't that simple. At first, Uvino insisted she had been assaulted and rejected a plea deal. It was only during jury selection before trial that she changed her mind again and pleaded guilty.
So I just hope that, she knows what she's done, and the fact that my life will never be the same. Like, I have anxiety, I have, PTSD from this.
It's bad enough that they were accused of such heinous behavior, though never arrested. But then to have her story change over and over and over again, it's as if you were kicked while you were down.
Well, the other student who chose to remain anonymous lost a football scholarship over this. Both men say they plan to sue Uvino in civil court. As for the criminal case, she has been in custody since that guilty plea in June. It will count as time served towards that 1-year sentence.
Yeah. And she wasn't just accusing you of things, she's accusing a lot of other people of other stuff as well. But for you, you're 18 years old, you've done nothing to this woman, and suddenly you're faced with multiple rape and assault charges. What are you thinking?
I was disgusted. I didn't know what was going on. I just felt horrified. I was scared. I didn't know. And then when I found out I was being sent to prison, I said to my mum, I'm not going to be coming out alive because I don't want to go to prison even if I did do something. So why do I want to go if I'm not doing something wrong?
You were put on the sex offenders wing of Preston Prison.
Yeah.
And you had to share a room with a paedophile.
Yeah, and he told me he pleaded guilty to that offence.
What was the offence?
He sent pictures to an 8-year-old kid.
What did you feel about having to share a cell with someone like that?
I felt sick, physically sick.
And you were there because the police had concluded that you must be guilty of similar behaviour.
Yeah, and I applied for bail numerous times. My legal team applied for bail, I think 4 times, and I was denied it every single time. And then I just got woke up one morning by the prison staff, and they said, you're in court. And I was confused because I didn't have any notice beforehand. And that's when I went to court and I got out on bail, but I wasn't allowed to go back to my hometown. I had to sign on the police station every 2 days.
And people in your hometown thought you were a rapist?
Yeah, I was named in the paper.
What did they do?
I had rapist spray painted on my house. I had my windows smashed. My mum had to move out of her house because of it all.
And you spent 10 weeks in prison yourself?
Yeah.
So all this is going on, and you're completely innocent.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everybody knows you. You're on the front page of the paper. You've been named. Your family's name has been completely decimated by this. But your accuser, who's made it all up, she remained anonymous.
Yeah, and this is one thing that really confuses me. Why did I get named? But when she was remanded into prison, there was never an article put, she was charged with this, that and the other. Well, there was, but there was no name given. It was just a female. And that's one thing I question a lot.
I did not know nothing about sex, so.
You're watching never-before-aired video of Juanetta Gibson and Brian Banks in the minutes before her stunning confession that she lied when she said the high school football star raped her 10 years ago.
This camera right here was in a plant.
This is the man who helped Banks get the now famous confession on hidden camera. Private investigator Freddie Parrish.
There's only one chance to get the goods. I mean, you got to make it right the first time.
Parrish's son played football with Brian Banks at Long Beach Polytechnic High in 2002, the time Juanetta Gibson made her false rape accusation. Gibson's family got $1.5 million settlement from the school district, and Banks got 5 years in prison and 5 more on parole, shackled with an ankle monitor.
So I know I'm not behind bars, and I know I'm not locked up right now, but I'm still very much incarcerated.
Then last year, Brian Banks got a Facebook friend request from Juanetta Gibson.
Mr. Banks called my son, Freddie, and asked him, what should I do? My son naturally says, hey, you got to call my dad. He'll help you with this. Once I was able to read the case, there was no doubt in my mind that this young man was innocent.
Parrish devised a plan to clear Brian Banks' name. He wired his office.
We had a pin like this
with hidden cameras.
Sitting in this pin holder.
And with microphones.
We had put the audio device in that tree right there behind you.
The private eye suggested Banks first invite Gibson to his office for a friendly chat about their past.
All the cultures, everything.
Brian Banks asks Gibson for help in clearing his name.
I will go through with helping you,
But she's afraid of losing all that money from her settlement.
all that money they gave us, gave me, I don't want to have to pay it back all that, because that will take a long time.
Now comes the hard part. Banks had to convince Gibson to come back the next day and talk to the private eye who was helping free him.
I needed to get her to basically recant everything that she said that Brian did 10 years ago. If I let this man down, I would have to live with that the rest of my life.
The mood in the room was light, but investigator Parrish's questioning got heavy.
When did you lose your virginity? Was it after him, before him? After.
Now the big question.
Did he rape you? No, he did not rape you. Did he kidnap you? No.
When she said those things, what did you say to yourself?
Wow, I got it.
It was the key evidence that Banks' lawyers from the California Innocence Project needed to go back to court. And that undercover video got Brian Banks' rape conviction thrown out. Banks' lawyer, Justin Brooks.
Well, the videotape is a slam dunk in the sense that she's recanting her testimony. She's specifically saying that he did not rape her.
Parrish has had big celebrity cases and well-known clients. But this assignment had a different kind of payoff.
Now, I had an opportunity to make a difference in a man's life.
And finally, what about Juanetta Gibson, who got all that settlement money after making a false accusation? We asked the DA's office and the school district if they plan to try and recover it. They wouldn't comment. But Banks' lawyer and private eye say most of that $1.5 million settlement has probably been spent.
You know, in fact, Joel, a lot of the neighbors and even some friends have come forward saying that money was spent left and right, and on a lot of things, including cars, a lot of cars.
It is thought that she's gone through, or her family has gone through most of that money. In fact, when she showed up for that meeting, she took a bus, didn't even have a car to drive.
28-year-old Atlanta Falcon linebacker rookie Brian Banks is one step closer to making his dream a reality after taking to the gridiron against the Cincinnati Bengals this week.
Nice job getting off a block and making a play.
It's still one of those situations where, it happened, but now it's just replaying in my head.
But this is no ordinary rookie. Banks joined the Falcons after spending 5 years in jail and 5 on parole. Why? He was wrongly convicted of raping a high school classmate. In May 2012, justice was served. The verdict for Banks overturned. The new ruling, not guilty.
The people's motion to dismiss this case pursuant to Section 1385.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I was supposed to go through what I went through, but I know that I'm here today and I remain unbroken.
Particularly when the lady leaves with a huge number of dollars. How many women are encouraged to falsely denounce men? She should relinquish her opportunity and reimburse him in full. There should be a vault for people who make untrustworthy prosecutions. I would still sue her for at least $1.5 million, even if she had to work her entire life to repay me.
Mendy is innocent. He beat the case. So, now that he's innocent, what's going to happen to the girls that lied? Are they going to get jail time? Because they should. They've ruined his career. He would have had a treble right now. So what punishment are they going to get?
Instead of innocent till proven guilty, you are guilty until you prove you're innocent. Does this make sense? So how do we prove that you're innocent in this case? If you're being falsely accused of abuse, domestic violence, whatever it is, there is a specific act that you are being accused of. You need to start thinking how this can be argued. Because if you want this stopped, you have to prove that you're innocent. And this is the most important thing. If there's any chance that you're not innocent and you can't definitively prove that in the way that the court sees it, then guess what? You have a chance and a probability that this can continue, and it will ruin your life if it does continue. Think about that. Unless you prove that you are innocent, not convince, but prove, your chances go up that this will continue, and if it does continue, it will ruin your life and your kids' lives.
Make her feel a little bit irritated. 10 years of his life squandered, yet she suffers positively no consequence since she can't reimburse the $1.5 million. I'm trembling. She needs to go to jail. Isn't delaying the inevitable still guilty? Totally concur with this assertion. She should pay his family $1.5 million and serve similar number of days in prison as he did. Improperly blamed attacker? The phrasing here truly should be changed to,
now I know she's locked away for a bit longer, it's just a bit of a relief, but I wish it was longer a sentence. I do think I'll be able to move on with my life a little bit, but I'm also going to have the thought in my head that it's only 2 years of my life till she's free again. So as bad as it sounds, I do think I'm going to move out of the area, and so I'm not in the same area as when she's released.
So I'm not sure how my family and I are going to recover from this. The mud sticks, and I fear it may take some time. But as a family, we remain strong, and we will be strong. And we're determined to move forward positively with our lives.
For 2 years, I didn't go out, I didn't socialise, I was 17, 18, staying at home all the time, not really living a life that a teenager should have done just because I was scared, for like our own protection, we go out and then something happens, it might just be easier staying at home.
Do you think, well, obviously he's not done anything, but the fact how long it's taken to prove his innocence, he wasn't allowed to say anything, and in the meanwhile he was attacked and all this abuse, and it's taken us 3.5 years to get to this, for the truth to actually come out.
I genuinely can't believe what I've just read. No, chat, this isn't a joke. This is no bullshit right now. I have just been sent by my moderators a tweet accusing me of stuff has frankly never fucking happened. I'm gonna read it on stream right now. So it says, since a lot of people are coming out about disgusting acts of a lot of Minecraft YouTubers, especially from the Dream SMP, I decided to come out with my experience a couple of years back in 2021. Since before now, I was scared of the backlash I would face, but now I think that this is the perfect time. Some dates and times might be incorrect due to how drunk I was at the time of the encounter. It all started when I stumbled upon Tubbo's videos on YouTube. I was immediately drawn in by his charismatic personality and his love for the game of Minecraft. As a fan, I would watch his streams and interact with him on social media, never thinking that I would one day meet him in person. But that all changed when I attended a party with some friends. Being 16, I wanted to fit in. I decided to drink alcohol for the first time. I quickly lost control and found myself in a vulnerable state. That's when Tubbo, who was at the party, offered me to take me home. Okay, first of all, 2021 was peak pandemic, peak lockdown. I didn't go to any parties. I didn't go out of my house. No parties. I was grateful at the time, thinking that he was just a good person, since I didn't even know that it was him, until I still asking about what he did on the way to what I thought was my house. I ended up passing out in the car, but instead of taking me home, he drove me to a secluded parking lot. It was there where he made advances towards me to touch me inappropriately. Never happened. First of all, he drove me home. I literally do not have a driver's license. He made advances towards me and touched me inappropriately while I was doing this, continued to slip in and out of sleep. I was shocked. I didn't know. I blame myself for getting this drunk. And trusting someone who I thought was an idol. But the truth is, I never gave him consent. He took advantage of me in a vulnerable moment after that night. Again, this never happened. I can't say enough how completely untrue and how false that is. It's blatant misinformation. It's complete bullshit, man.
Man unfairly blamed for assault. Jesus. Also, as this comment pointed out, the double standards are insane. Man falsely accused, sent to prison, lost scholarship, career, and respect. Woman acknowledges making a false accusation and conceals her identity by blurring her face. Yet, it appears as though there's no expectation for men like this. One man said, "We learned we beat her on each charge."
Petition is granted.
The end of Brian Banks' ordeal was marked by tears after a judge threw out the rape charge that had sent him to prison for more than 5 years.
My only dream in the world was to just be free and to have the same opportunity as everybody here.
He was a 16-year-old star linebacker with a full-ride scholarship to USC and had dreamed to play in the NFL when in 2002, a classmate accused Banks of raping her in the stairwell of their Long Beach high school. Although Banks insisted it was consensual and there was no sex, he told KCBS TV that his defense attorney at the time gave him a choice: plead no contest to rape or risk a trial that could send him to prison for life.
When you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager, and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty. Those are her exact words.
He took the deal, went to prison, and had to register as a sex offender. He thought that was the end of it. But after he was released, came a surprise: a friend request on Facebook from his accuser, Juanetta Gibson.
I remember closing the laptop just like real quick and just like thinking, like, what did I just see?
So Banks arranged a meeting with a private investigator who videotaped the whole thing.
Did he rape you? No, he did not rape you.
Gibson later explained she hadn't wanted to say that publicly for fear of losing a $1.5 million settlement that her family had gotten after suing the school district.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I was supposed to go through what I went through, but I know that I'm here today and I remain unbroken.
Unbroken and working to get his life back on track. Those dreams of playing in the NFL, he says, might be realized yet. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The adjudicator even said she was not solid, exceeded 159,099.00. She still has one more opportunity to commit an error. Try not to grumble. Simply open your wallet. And that wraps up today's episode of Manosphere Daily. If you enjoyed the content, give it a like. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified as soon as a new video is out. Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.